Hello everyone, welcome to Is It Real Wicca Talk? All about Wicca, I don't know, whatever I'm calling it this week. I'll decide on a name here eventually, whenever I decide what works best for like the search results so people can find the channel easier, the videos and stuff like that. That's just a little project I'm working on in case anyone was wondering. Um, Today, guys, we need to jump into our topic because I don't have that much time. Alright. We're talking about this Jesus-Horus comparison, which is something that a lot of people have been interested in. I've seen the meme, the erroneous meme though, going all around Facebook. It's still going around Facebook. It's been making the rounds for a few years there at least, man. The one I'm talking about is the one that basically shows two columns, and then you've got Horus, you've got Jesus, and it lists all these similarities. Both born on December 25th, which is already wrong because Jesus wasn't even born on December 25th. Hello, guys, come on. You know better than that, right? Okay, claiming they were both baptized, they were both crucified. I think it says they both had 12 disciples or whatever. Here's the problem. The first time I ever saw that meme, I'm a guy who, you guys probably know, has already read every single Horus myth in existence. And I'd never heard of any of this. And I've read them all. You know, the Horus the Elder, Horus on the Horizon, the Falcon on the Horizon, the murder of Osiris, Isis, finding him, creating Horus, all this. Horus acting as the defender of Ra, turning into the sun disk. Yeah, I know all the stories, guys, and this is nowhere to be found. I even looked it up and did a little extra research to see if I missed something. And it's like, no, none of those details that they list there exist. And I believe they came from a film. It might have been like Zeitgeist or something like that. I don't know, I've never seen it, to be honest. But that's what we have. This entire thing going around, a lot of people still believe this too, which is why I'm making the video, because I just want to clear the air and make sure we've got the correct information going out. The problem with stuff like that is when you have erroneous information like that that didn't really exist, you go to like a evangelical website and they're already going crazy debunking it, saying no, it's false, no, and they think they're trying to claim that it proves the Jesus story is original and all this stuff, and just like you know, it gives them fuel to think pagans are wrong, like, and they're right, which is exactly what they want, but they're not right, because let me tell you something, they did actually steal that story. The whole story with the Virgin Mary and Jesus, all this was definitely stolen from ancient Egypt, and I'm going to explain to you why. Alright, first of all, when you go back to the ancient Egyptian temples, if you look at the writings from those temples, the gods, back then they were called the Nibiru in Egyptian, are described as natural forces of energy, right? Okay, you give them a name and a face and a personality, like an identity, basically, and those are your gods. Okay. When you're looking at a lot of the ancient Egyptian myths, what you're looking for very often is going to be symbolism, like what does this actually represent? This is how the ancient Egyptian initiates would have read it. Okay. You got to read between the lines and see what does the story actually represent. In this case, we're talking about the murder of Osiris. Set is jealous and decides to kill him in this box, suffocates him. What does that really represent, though? Okay, first of all, Osiris, the original King of Kings, by the way, who traveled a lot, and everywhere he went, he left it a better place than when he found it. Right? Sounds familiar. So Osiris, what he represented was the divine rule on Earth. A time they're describing when the divine was the natural order. There, how do you want to say? It was more like a utopia. Okay, there wasn't all the wars and ugliness that we've seen in the last several thousand years. It was a pretty peaceful place. It was nice. Okay, so Osiris literally represents the divine, the higher vibrations, the higher planes. Set in this particular story, and I know there were other stories before this one, but in this particular story, Set is representing all the bad parts of humanity, the fear-based actions, greed, um, discrimination, oppression, all these bad things, okay? Lower vibrational things. So what happens, what the story is representing is lower vibrational rule taking over. If you want to say good versus evil, that's one way to put it. Accurate or not, but you know, that's one way to put it. So basically, evil is taking over the world. It's bad. That's the time that they're describing. So Isis, her job in this story, what she takes upon herself, is not just like the story literally says to avenge her husband and create a son, but literally to draw down that essence of the divine, which is Osiris in the story, and create a balance. Because see, the nastiness cannot go unchecked. There has to be balance. We have to restore Ma'at. Okay, and that's a little something that came to me one time. Is the followers of Horus' job was to uphold Ma'at, uphold balance. Just a little secret for you in case most of you probably didn't know that. But anyway, so that's the job now of Horus. Now you skip ahead, you go to the Christian story. It's kind of the same story. Okay, the divine being God in the story, right? Mary is actually Isis, but here's a twist. She didn't decide to create a savior. She was just chosen because I think the story took kind of, how you say, a little bit more of a misogynistic tone in the Bible. Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say. So basically, she's impregnated out of nowhere and creates a savior. Isis took it upon herself to create a savior, if you will, or counterbalance to Set. Set in the Bible would be represented as Satan, basically. So that is exactly where the similarities really lie, and that's exactly how they actually stole the story and then just twisted it and manipulated it because they wanted to create a new religion that was more oppressive and favored only certain people who belonged to it, but mostly people who probably own land and churches and were just making gobs and gobs of money, because that's still going on today, right? We still see that. People are oppressing other people so they can just continue making gobs and gobs of money. It's been a cycle for a long time. Okay, put the soapbox away, James. Put it away. All right, but anyway, that's exactly how the stories are actually similar. When you take into consideration that they say things in the Bible like you cannot enter heaven unless Jesus has entered you, which I know we made a big joke of a while back. But think about what they're really saying. What does Jesus really represent? Guys, I know we don't really want to talk about the Bible, but there's actually, at the origin of it, there's really more of a mystical type of origin. Believe it or not, that the Gnostics were actually practicing early on. Jesus Christ is not a name, okay? Christ is a title, okay? The Christ is a title. So anyone calling him Jesus Christ, that's wrong. They're already stupid because it's not a name, all right? So when you say something like that, what you really, really should be saying is that you're not going to make it to heaven unless you've raised your vibrations enough to where the higher planes are coming down to you and inside you, and you're a good enough person, etc., to raise up to that higher vibration and stay in what they would have called in Egypt Osiris's paradise, or Aru. Okay, which means basically that you don't have to reincarnate anymore. You're done. You can stay there and chill. It's described as having, interestingly, everything that you have on Earth, except without all the earthly pain and suffering, which sounds nice to me. But of course, you'd have to pass through Ma'at's chamber and all this stuff in order to get there. Okay, someone had requested that I mention the creation stories, and I do believe the creation story had actually been kind of ripped off too. Well, the original creation story was Sumerian. You guys can feel free to look that up if you want. There was even a version in the Old Testament, the Jewish version, that was different, had Lilith, right, and all that stuff. So I mean, that wasn't exactly accurate, or how you say, literal. Yeah, it's not a literal story, guys. There were not people, CNN wasn't there with live footage covering the event when the world was created, okay? Let's put it that way. And the books were actually written several million years later, so that's pretty crazy. Alright, I think I'm done babbling, guys, for now. To summarize, yes, I do believe that the story of Jesus was stolen from ancient Egypt, and I think it's clear as day. Alright, I'll let you guys debate that. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. Please do check out my books on Amazon. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. I'm James Zodden. Blessed be everyone, and peace out.